Our next guest lives in Southern California with his wife and daughter. His work has been published by So New Media and Futurismic. He is currently working on a science fiction novel about sex, violence, and labor relations. Please welcome to the mic, Adam Rakunas.
That'll work. So this is from the story that I have on Futurismic. It's called The Right People, and it's essentially an ABC after-school special gone totally awry. It's set in a high school in the near future where standardized tests and social networks are what matters. So if you've got the right connections and scores, you can get away with anything, including running an illicit operation selling sex toys to your fellow upright and uptight classmates. So in this scene, our heroes, Gene, who's the brains behind the operation, and GR, who's the horribly perverted Braun, he likes to say that the initials stand for goat rapist, have just been ratted out and sent to the principal's office. A phone buzzes on the secretary's desk, and she answers with a cheery, "Yes, sir?" Inhuman wailing comes from both the phone and behind the thick metal glass door outside the principal's office. She smiles and nods and places the phone back in its cradle. "The principal will see you now," she says, pressing a button. Cable restraints zip out of the chairs and wrap themselves around us. The chairs jerk forward on a conveyor belt toward the blast door. And as we approach, I see a giant smiley face gouged into a surface. Right below the legend, "The principal is your pal." The blast door opens with a missile silo hiss, and before we can cry out, we're in. It's dark inside, crime scene dark. The room smells like a horrid mix of rancid fried chicken and ointment. A tiny pool of light spills out onto a desk clogged with paperwork and fast food wrappers. And as we roll closer, I see a thick pair of arms, flabby and covered with eczema, resting on the desk pad. They are not arms that I want anywhere near me, not even if I had a bullwhip and a biohazard suit. "Well," bellows a voice from behind the arms, "don't be bashful, get up here!" The chairs straighten themselves out like morgue slabs, then tilt forward. We zip to the front of the desk, and something leans into the lamplight. A face with 5 chins, a spit curl of white brill-creamed hair, a nose like a misbegotten squash. It is a face covered in boils and acne scars, a face pale from years of sunlight deprivation, a face sallow with decades of poor diet. It is a face right out of a horror movie, and it only looks worse when it tries to smile at us. "Well now," says the principal, "a little bird tells me you've been naughty boys." The blast door clicks shut behind us. "Yes! Selling dildos and vibromats and orgasmatrons on school property, using school network resources to do your dirty business, all without permission. We can't have that. So, it looks..." Sorry. "It looks like a session with the cattle prod, followed by a parent-teacher interrogation and a summary execution." I say. GR faints dead away. The principal pauses, like he's consulting a moldy mental source. "No, wait, not execution," he says. "Expulsion." I manage to swing my slab into GR's, knocking him awake. "Yes," the principal nods. "More paperwork and not as satisfying, but rules are rules. But don't worry about the cattle prod, boys. Only a formality. It's very small. Doesn't leave marks anymore. Here." The principal opens a desk drawer and pulls out a device the size of a flashlight. There is a firm click, and sparks crackle across the desk. The principal smiles again, the light and shadow dancing across his chins and scars like the poster of a Swedish black metal band come to horrible life. The principal deactivates the prod and tosses it on the desk, shaking his head. "Now, I can understand what you're going through, boys. It's a difficult time of life when your hormones collide with your need for laddish tomfoolery. These days, you kids are all doing it. That's what you call it, right? Doing it? Getting the spanky tank? Twisting the pudding, huh? Huh?" He waggles his eyebrows, a sight more obscene than any porno I have ever sold. GR gags, so that might be due to his slabs rocking around. "Indeed," says the principal, rising from his desk and walking toward us. "I remember that time myself, the body anxiety, the backseat fumbling." He inhales, immune to the evil smells in the room. "The best days of my life, boys, when you knew your prom date was the only girl you needed, and then..." He rests a hand on my slab, and his beady eyes burn into mine. His mouth twitches, like the start of a sneer, but his eyelids flutter for the briefest of moments before he turns away, and I recognize something. The look in the principal's eyes is one that I've seen many times in my career. It's more than the desperate look of a fetishist who needs to get off, more than the hormonal drive of a juiced-up chess player. It's the look of a human being who simply wants fulfillment, and it is my moral obligation, my sacred duty, to help that person and only charge him a 300% markup. The chair cushions fart in protest as the principal crashes down on them. You'll see, boys, there comes a time in a man's life when his body fails, when everything goes in a haze of heart stents and impotence, and no amount of science will keep your true love satisfied. And I won't have you giving that kind of false, illegal hope to this student body. The principal picks up the cattle prod and a form-laden clipboard. Now, before we start, he says, lumbering toward us, you both need to sign these releases in the event of your incapacitation, sterility, or death. He starts the cattle prod again, sparks leaping between the leads. If you don't sign them, the law says I can up the voltage, so I'd make it the John Hancocks if I were you. And then we'll get your parents here, and I remember GR just 2 days ago asking me, so your parents, what are they talking about? And I say, you know, the usual sex institute stuff, genitals and electroshock, and then I clear my throat and the principal jerks upright and locks his addled eyes on me. I fight back my rising gorge and give the principal my finest sales smile. Sir, what would you say if I told you the solution you're looking for is at hand? He smiles, the folds of fat shifting under his eyes like an avalanche. You're not the first person in that chair to try bargaining his way out. But I'm the first one with parents presenting a paper at the Kinsey Institute that has some bearing on your affliction. If you'll just look them up. The principal's eyes narrow like he's going to zap us anyway, but he pulls out an ancient cell, barely web-enabled, and thumbs up a search window. As the Kinsey site crawls into the screen, I hope I've got my parents' lecture schedule right. If it's S&M day, we are beyond screwed. The principal walks back to his desk, his eyes growing wider in the display light, until a single tear slides down his fat cheek. He puts down the cell, looks at us both with a quivering smile, and the hand holding the cattle prod disappears below the desktop. There's a click and a bright spray of sparks, and then, sitting before us is a new man. Holy good gravy, he says, looking like an ecstatic ape. That puts a turn in your crank. His free hand smashes down on a button, and the restraints that hold GR and I zip away, letting us tumble to the ground. We help each other up, and the principal, now the picture of deranged bonhomie, says, So, Eugene, what's a fine, upstanding young man like yourself doing here? Just helping my friend here get elected to ASB, sir, I say, patting GR on the back. The principal regards GR for a moment. Say, he says, aren't you the goat fucker? GR grins. I have been known to enjoy their company from time to time. The principal nods. Me too. My weekly visits to the FFA corral is the only thing in this godforsaken place that keeps me from putting a bullet into my head. GR nods until he realizes what he's just heard. He turns to me with eyes as big as dinner plates and stares down at his shoes. The principal leans back and says, well, there's obviously been some kind of mistake. There's no way you do the kind of degrading things you've been accused of. Sorry for bringing you in. Get back to class, keep off the goofballs, and eat lots of fiber. Key to happiness, boys. Fiber. GR spins to go, but I stop him and lean toward the principal. Sir, I was wondering if you could do something about the expulsion forms. Expulsions? In my school, roars the principal, picking up the forms, clipboard and all, and feeding them into a paper shredder sitting on his desktop. Everything vanishes with a satisfying grinding of gears. There, he says, waving the cattle prod like a fiery baton. Our business is concluded. Go! Go and enjoy your youth while you've still got your prostates. GR and I look at each other, then bolt for the now open glass door as the principal shocks himself again and again. Thank you.
On that note, we're going to take a much-needed break. Keep your hands above the tables. Go get a drink at the bar. And we'll be back at the microphone in 10 or 15 minutes.